Before it took shape, the universe was nothing but a sea of primordial oscillations. No light, no darkness, only an unending pulse, an eternal symphony echoing through the void. There was no time, no space, only layer upon layer of rippling waves colliding, swirling into chaotic vortices. No words were spoken, no commands were given, only vibration, the primal heartbeat of the cosmos saturating every molecule of existence. And then from that very vibration the Anunnaki emerged. They did not arrive on footsteps nor fall from the skies. They were conscious waves, ripples that knew themselves, etching their memory into earth, stone, and water. When they touched the young earth, everything shifted. Stone, softened water trembled, and the once empty air began to hum with strange melodies. The Anunnaki were not merely gods of legend, they were layers of force carving the pulse of the universe into matter, making the earth remember the water record and the sky sing. Among them, two polar forces arose fierce as the twin ends of destiny's cord, Enki and Enlil. Enki, the one who embraced the flow, who laughed with the waters, who carried a supple wisdom that could not be caged by the iron bars of law. Enlil, the one who stood tall beneath the heavens, who drew boundaries, who looked into chaos and saw threat, not opportunity. One believed the flow should be sown, the other believed it should be dammed, sealed, and commanded. They were not merely brothers. They were two symbols, two opposing heartbeats, two melodies battling to see who would lead the symphony of the world. When Enki sowed the flow, he sowed life-change freedom. When Enlil raised the dam, he raised order law boundaries. In that confrontation, humanity, small, chaotic, precarious, became the battlefield. Humanity was the one touched by both divine hands, carrying the flow, carrying the boundary craving, yet fearing. But in the end, a question still quietly echoes beneath layers of earth and stone among the sealed tablets. What truly created humanity? Was it the decree of the gods, the sharp-edged words, the unbreakable prohibitions? Or was it the unceasing pulse, the vibration that soaked into our blood, our bones, our breath since the dawn of time? If Enlil is the decree from above, the unreachable sky, then Enki is the whisper within the earth, the flow beneath your feet, the wordless pulse softly tapping against the ribcage of every living being. Enki does not walk as humans walk, nor command as kings command. He weaves, slipping into droplets of water, into the veins of the earth, into the sprouting seed, into the fragile breath of a newly formed creature. He is water, he is vibration, he is the eternal softness that cannot be grasped, cannot be chained. Wherever there is flow, there is the whisper of Enki. Wherever there is resonance, there is a fragment of his memory. The ancients spoke his name not merely as they would a god, but as they would the very current of life itself, the silent stream linking all layers of existence. But to understand Enki, one cannot simply look at him, one must look at where he resides. e-abzu. E-abzu is not just an underground reservoir, not merely a deep vein of water beneath the earth. In Sumerian mythology, e-abzu is the primordial layer of vibration, where the oscillations of creation and chaos meet, breaking open into form, into idea, into the pulse of life. It has no borders, no shore. It is not a well, not a lake. It is the eternal vibration to which even stone must hum, even darkness must obey. When Enki placed his hand upon e-abzu, he did not merely touch water, he touched the layer of cosmic rhythm, drawing those hazy currents of creation up to the surface, pouring them into earth, into wind, into the marrow of humankind. To preserve this connection, he raised the temple e-abzu in Eridu. But e-abzu was not a temple in the way humans understand. It was not merely a site of worship, not simply a roofed dwelling for the divine. It was a colossal resonator, a living structure where stone, water, sound, and light merged as one. When water flowed through its channels, when sound echoed across its stone pillars, when darkness fell upon its carved walls, e-abzu did not merely exist, it sang. It vibrated with the resonance of e-abzu, opening an invisible doorway between the layers of reality, allowing those who knew how to listen to feel the primordial heartbeat of the cosmos. Not everyone could hear it. Not everyone could sense it. Only those souls who still carried the original resonance, who still remembered they were woven from vibration, could hear that eternal song. And now when e-abzu has sunken into ruin, when the stones of Eridu have been swallowed by dust, people believe that pulse has died. But know what Enki sowed did not lie in temples nor in stone statues, but in the human chest. In every heartbeat, every breath, every strange dream, e-abzu still echoes softly, tapping on the deepest layers of memory that were never named. When you stand before the sea and hear the waves murmuring, do you feel your heart quietly stir? When you listen to the midnight rain tapping on the roof tiles, is there a part of you that gently resonates? It is not imagination, not illusion. It is the lingering pulse of e-abzu, the whisper of Enki, the wordless call from the primordial layer of creation. And so the question hangs not just for those who dig through ruins, not just for scholars poring over clay tablets, but for you, the one reading these words. Is there within our ribcage, where no eye can see, still a remnant of e-abzu's pulse? And if so, would you dare to listen to it, to step through the invisible doorway that Enki left behind? ChatGPT, Danai. If Enki is the soft resonance weaving into stone and water, then enlil is the sharp, cold wind tearing through space, the unshakable authority of the sky. He does not descend. Like Enki does not converse with the waters, does not whisper into the earth. He stands above, gazing down with the eyes of a ruler. Enlil is the boundless sky, but also the boundary that cannot be crossed. He is the wind sweeping over the fields, but also the storm that devours all that does not submit. When Enlil speaks, there is no more vibration, no more flow, only command. And once that command is given, it cannot be undone. The Sumerians did not merely worship Enlil as a god, they feared him as an absolute force, the one who held the laws of the cosmos in his grasp. His city Nippur was nothing like Enki's Eridu. If Eridu was a soft current, a temple humming with resonance, then Nippur was a fortress of law where everything was aligned, sealed, stamped. In Nippur, the me did not sing. They were arranged on shelves, stamped, preserved like treasures of order. The strong fortress walls allowed no stray vibration from e-abzu to slip inside. There, Enlil accepted no softness. He recognized only authority. Yet the opposition between Enlil and Enki is not merely the matter of two brothers, not just an ancient family feud. It is the greatest symbol, the question echoing through all ages, creative flow confronting disciplined limits. On one side, water soft yet impossible to strangle. On the other, wind invisible yet capable of overwhelming all. One side sows seeds, opens doors, shares knowledge. The other raises fences, builds dams, and holds absolute judgment. It is not only the gods who battle, but every living creature, every consciousness caught between these two forces. Look at the very world you live in. When an idea flares up inside you, when a strange dream stirs you to break boundaries, that is the call of Enki. But when fear tightens around you, when you hear the whisper, do not go too far, do not challenge. Stay within the frame that is the echo of Enlil resounding invisibly. Every towering building, every constitution, every national border, every line of prohibition, no one dares to cross bears Enlil's mark. He is the gatekeeper, the one who raises barricades between the layered realms of existence. In the heart of Nippur's darkness, the Council of the 12 Gods convened not within cold stone walls, but in a space pulsing with silent power, where every gaze was as sharp as a blade, where every word carried the weight of destiny. Enki stood there, his long hair flowing like cascading water, his deep blue eyes glowing with the patience of one who had learned to wait across millennia. Enlil faced him, his stare like a storm-clouded sky held tight like the sword of law poised to strike down any who dared cross the boundary. The other gods remained silent, none daring to interrupt as the two poles of force collided, for they knew this debate was not merely about a temple, a flow, or a land. It was about the very future of life itself. Enki spoke. His voice was not thunder, not wind, but the sound of water lapping against the shore, patient, gentle, yet impossible to deny. He spoke of knowledge, of the current, of the capacity to find one's own path, of the power carried by seeds sown without obstruction. He reminded them that humanity was not created to be slaves, but to carry within them the spark of creation, a fragment of the primordial vibration once held by the gods themselves. He did not plead, did not beg. He reminded that even the council itself existed, thanks to balance, to flow to wisdom uncaged. But Enlil did not listen. He raised his voice, and that voice was a tempest, a prohibition already sealed before the meeting even began. To Enlil, knowledge was dangerous, the flow was chaos, and e-abzu, where Enki had planted his roots, was a lurking threat. Enlil did not see in humankind a continuation. He saw a crack, a risk of betrayal, a seed of challenge against divine authority. He spoke little. He only commanded e-abzu must be sealed. And so, under the heavy gaze of the gods, the e-abzu temple was encircled. No swords were drawn, no destruction, no burning, because the current could not be eradicated by violence. They chose ritual symbols, rings of seals engraved with the marks of authority, chants, strangled songs, layer upon layer of energy locks tightened around every pulse of the temple. Enki stood outside, neither shouting nor resisting. He only watched, his eyes deep as bottomless waters, watching the current being dammed, hearing the song of Abzu gradually fade like the silent scream of a living rhythm forced into sleep. But who can truly seal a flow? Who can truly choke a vibration? Beneath the layers of seals, beneath the marks of power, Abzu still exists, still hums a faint, distant pulse, but one that has never been extinguished. And Enki knew this. He knew that all it would take is one root resonance, one soul who remembers the primordial pulse, and every seal would dissolve like mist under the sun. In that moment, he no longer looked at Enlil. He closed his eyes, listening to the current still whispering beneath all the prohibitions, and within his heart a question echoed, not just for himself, but for every being still able to listen. Is there anyone among us who still holds the pulse of Abzu, so that one day they might unlock every sealed gate? In the heart of the dusty sands of southern Iraq, where the ancient city of Eridu once stood, archaeologists bend low, picking up fragments of stone, shards of crumbled brick, faint carvings worn down by 1,000 years of wind and sand. But what do they truly see? Collapsed walls, ruined blocks? No, they see things that should not exist. Perfect. Right angles so precise. Modern instruments hesitate. Razor-sharp cuts in hard stone that no copper-age tools could have made structural alignments defying logic, given the mass and technology of that era. Eridu is not merely an ancient city, it is a silent challenge, a riddle sent forward from the past. Yet the most unsettling thing does not lie in the stones themselves, but in what they suggest that Eridu does not merely preserve matter, but frequency. That within those mute slabs of stone there is a vibration that has never ceased, merely waiting for someone with the right resonance to align with it. Those walls are not just walls, they are giant resonating machines, a stone orchestra from a civilization that knew how to speak through oscillation, not merely through words or symbols. The ME, the divine records, were not just clay tablets, they were encoded waves flowing through earth, stone, water, air, and if you are sensitive enough, through your very body. Some have stepped onto that ruined stone ground and felt something. They cannot explain it. There is no sound, no vision. Only a strange sensation under the sternum, as if something lightly touched them from within, as if an invisible string vibrated in harmony with something they had never learned, never known. Some have fled frightened, saying they heard wordless whispers, felt memories that did not belong to them. Some have broken down in tears, falling to their knees, feeling as though they had come home to a place they had never set foot in. And some in that fleeting moment standing upon those stones knew one thing for certain: this place has never died. Scientists measure seismic waves, electromagnetic signals, infrasound, but they find nothing. Because what is preserved here is not a wave that machines can detect, but a living vibration, one that resonates only with souls still carrying the root pulse, those who still hold a fragment of the ME that Enki once sewed into human flesh. Eridu is not just an archaeological ruin. It is a sealed song, a silent melody, a gateway, waiting for someone to remember a code that exists not on paper, not on maps, but deep within the layer of memory that has never been named. And if one day amidst the desolate sands and howling winds you stand upon those ancient stones and feel a faint pulse tapping beneath your ribcage, a chill running down your spine, a wordless call echoing from a depth no one else can hear, would you dare to listen? Recent archaeological discoveries are not merely fragments of brick slabs of stone or old artifacts lying silently in museum cases. They are a wake-up call, an echo from the past, suddenly rising, stirring layers of memory we thought had long fallen asleep. Why is it that after thousands of years buried under sand and dust, places like Eridu, e-abzu, or Nippur are beginning to resonate precisely in this age? Could it be that our present world, with its cracks in belief, in order in the frantic rhythm of life, has aligned itself with an ancient layer of vibration, pulling long-locked frequencies back to the surface? Could it be that as society approaches the edge of imbalance, these sites that once held the original pulse of the cosmos begin to hum again, reminding humanity that beneath the metal and concrete skin, we still stand upon a land woven from divine promises? Those who come near these places do not merely see piles of ruins, they feel. Some say that when they step into the archaeological zones, their heartbeat suddenly skips, not out of fear, not from excitement, but because of an unnamed vibration that suddenly grips them, throwing their heart off rhythm. Some describe the sensation of an invisible hand brushing the back of their neck, sending a chill down their spine. Others report strange dreams haunting them for nights afterward, dreams of water flowing over stone, dreams of wordless songs, dreams of standing before a formless gate, an entrance never marked on any map. They cannot explain it. They cannot name it. But they all return with one shared impression: this place has never died. It has only been waiting for the right moment, the right person, to match the sealed vibration. Archaeologists, scientists may measure, analyze draft reports, but no instrument can detect the inner call, the echo that only souls still carrying the root resonance can hear. The modern world, with all its advanced machinery, stands powerless before a vibration encoded not by physical waves, but by living pulses targeting the deepest layer of consciousness. And that is why today's archaeological discoveries are no longer merely matters of the past. They are matters of the present. They are a reminder that every order, every law, every seal only lasts for a time. Then comes a moment when the ancient vibration is summoned back. Everything will resonate once again. And so the quiet question rises, posed not only to those wielding shovels at excavation sites, but also to you, the one listening to this tale. When the pulses awaken, when your heart skips beyond its ordinary beat, will you dare to listen? Or will you turn away, missing the call that has never once been spoken aloud, in the silent darkness of the e-abzu temple, after the gates had been sealed, after the council of the 12 gods had departed? Only Enki remained standing alone among the softly trembling layers of stone. He did not bow his head in defeat. He did not rage or destroy. Instead, he knelt, placed his hand upon the ground, and let a part of his own pulse seep into humanity, not through matter, not through clay tablets, not through stone steles or carved gems, but through DNA, through every molecule of blood, every spiral of life, every heartbeat that Enlil could never control. That was the ME, the divine records, the ancient codes that Enki secretly wove into the human body so they would resonate through generations, unable to be erased, unable to be sealed. The ME is not a scroll that can be burned. It is not a machine that can be dismantled. It is not a temple that can be destroyed. It is living vibration, a frequency embedded straight into the blood, running through the spinal cord, echoing with the beat of the heart. No matter how many physical gates Enlil sealed, the ME persisted, slipping into strange dreams, into nameless shivers, into moments when a human stands before the majesty of nature and suddenly weeps without knowing why. It is not a random emotion. It is the ME, resonating, whispering into the deepest layer of consciousness, calling back a fragment of memory the mind has forgotten, but the soul has never released. That is why it is no surprise when some people in their sleep dream of symbols they have never learned. They see spirals, rivers of light, formless gates, and when they awaken, their hearts beat off rhythm, their chests burn as if something has just touched them from within. They cannot explain it, cannot fully describe it, but they feel it. And that is the ME, not a lost treasure, but a surviving melody, waiting for someone brave enough to listen. When Enki seeded the ME into humanity, he knew he was committing treason before the divine council. But he also knew a deeper truth: every material gate can be closed, but the gate within the blood and the heartbeat can never be locked. That is why through countless floods, countless purges, countless changes of power, the ME has survived. It does not live in temples, it lives in every breath, every heartbeat, every unexplained shiver. And so the question rises, not only for myth researchers, not only for archaeological scholars, but for you. When you hear a strange dream, when you feel a vibration within your chest that no one else can hear, will you dare to believe that you yourself carry the ME? And if you dare to believe, will you dare to follow the call from the hidden layer that has never yet been decoded, atop the heights of Nippur where the sky converges? Enlil raged. He looked down upon humanity, those small creatures who were meant only to bow, only to obey, yet within their hearts stirred something he could never erase memory. Even though Enlil had commanded the sealing of e-abzu, even though he had erected laws to surround them, even though he unleashed floods that swept away cities, drowned civilizations, he could not kill what Enki had secretly sown into the human heart, the me, the divine record, the living vibration winding through blood, through marrow, through every heartbeat. He could control everything outside, but inside, beneath, within dreams and vague longings, Enlil was powerless. For the me does not travel through matter. It does not sit upon clay tablets to be burned. It is not carved into walls to be smashed. It is not hidden in treasures to be plundered. It lives light as a breath, delicate as a note, echoing inside, soaking into each cell, passing through each generation. When a mother embraces her child, when a child murmurs a strange dream, when someone stands beneath the stars and feels connected to something nameless, the me moves softly, quietly, without display, slipping past every purge, every erasure Enlil has hurled. There were moments when Enlil thought he had triumphed. When the floods wiped clean the Sumerian plains, when cities drowned in mud, when temples crumbled into the earth, he believed the me had died with them. But then from somewhere an old song would rise, a strange symbol would appear in a child's dream with no teacher. A peculiar sigh would echo from ruins no one understood. Enlil knew he could rule the sky, but he could not choke the earth. There were things too small, too soft for the hand of power to grasp, and that was precisely where Enki had sown his seeds. The me evades not by force but by softness. It does not confront, does not attack, does not roar. It simply weaves, flowing through bloodlines, passing through stories whispered by the fireside, through lullabies whose origins are forgotten, through symbols unconsciously etched into stone walls. It moves through whispers, through tears, through shivers in the night, and because of that, it can never be erased. Enlil stands there, power in hand, yet powerless before one truth. A fragment of memory cannot be killed, because it does not belong to the body. It does not belong to the land. It belongs to the living vibration, to the heartbeat that has never ceased. In the silent shadows of ancient ruins, where the wind whistles through cracked stones, there are certain souls. They are not scholars, not archaeologists, not religious devotees. They do not read mythological texts, do not know the names Enki or Enlil, do not understand the concepts of abzu or me. And yet, when their hands brush against the stone, when their footsteps land upon ancient ground, a vague pulse seeps through their skin, touches their marrow, and sets their heart off rhythm. They hear no voice, but they feel. A strange sensation, as if this place is familiar, as if they had once stood here before, had once been part of an ancient resonance that has never fully gone silent. Some tell of sleepless nights after returning from Eridu or Nippur, not because of haunting, but because of the strange dreams that flood in spirals of light, nameless symbols, sounds that cannot be formed into words. A woman stands frozen among the ruins, tears slipping down her face without knowing why, only feeling as though she has come home after thousands of years wandering. A man who never believed in the mystical places, his hand upon a stone slab, suddenly shivering, hearing a faint hum not through his ears but resonating from deep within his chest. A child who has never learned of Sumer or the Anunnaki draws spirals in the sand shapes that uncannily match the ancient carvings found in the temple of e-abzu. They do not know what to call this feeling. Who is calling them? Is it past life memory bloodline, or is it the me, the divine record that Enki embedded within humanity humming back to life? Those who carry the root resonance do not need book knowledge because the pulse does not belong to language nor to logic. It belongs to a deep layer of sensing, a stratum that once slept beneath consciousness, now needing only a touch, a vibration, a breath aligned to awaken. They tell of the feeling of familiarity with something never before encountered. A crumbling corner of a wall that sends shivers down their spine, a cut across a stone block that makes them weep without knowing why. A wave of sensation rippling down their back as wind sweeps through fallen pillars. No one understands. No one believes. But they know, somehow they know that this place is speaking to them. Not with words, but with frequency, with resonance, with a vibration that has never ever disappeared. This story, the story of Enki, of Enlil, of Abzu, of the primordial pulses and the silent me, has never stopped. It was never fully buried under the dust of Mesopotamia, never fully drowned beneath the waves of history, never completely swallowed by forgetfulness. It merely went quiet quiet like a dry summer stream still seeping beneath the earth, waiting for the rains to rise again. For the true current never dies. It merely weaves, twists, changes its shape, changes its voice, changes its method to survive across the centuries. Through ages, scorched by war, by extinction, by the collapse of empire after empire, the stream of story slipped through. When clay tablets were shattered, it flowed through lullabies by the fireside. When temples were leveled, it clung to small symbols carved into sacred objects. When ancient rituals were forbidden, it retreated into dreams, into nameless vibrations, into vague sensations only those carrying the root pulse could recognize. It slipped into oral myths, into stray details of regional legends, into the inexplicable shiver when standing beneath the starlit night. Do you think it disappeared just because no one tells it anymore? No, this story does not need a storyteller. It tells itself through stone, through water, through heartbeat, through the winds, sweeping over broken ruins, through every wave crashing upon the shore, through every heartbeat skipping when someone steps upon ancient ground. It does not need to be written into books. It only needs to exist in resonance. As long as one person hears it, one person carries the matching pulse, one person dares to listen, the current finds its way, again hums, again slips once more into the layer of the living. And so in every generation, there are always a few souls, not because they are special, but because they have opened themselves deep enough, who begin to feel that current. They cannot explain, they cannot prove. But they know in a way no one has taught them, no one has shown them. The story of the ancient gods has never died. It has only waited for the right person, the right moment, the right resonance to awaken, to match its pulse, to open the gate that was never fully closed. And so the final question is not for the historians, not for the archaeologists, not even for the storytellers. It is for you. Do you feel it? Is there a quiet pulse tapping beneath your sternum, a nameless, voiceless, formless call? And if there is, will you dare to listen and become the one to continue the current that has never ever ceased? There are those who in the darkness of sleep are suddenly called. They do not know who is calling, do not hear words, do not see a face, only dream of a formless gate, a shimmering void of spirals where strange, distant pulses echo, stretch, deepen, touching a layer of memory they never knew they had. In that dream, they walk across a nameless land past unfamiliar symbols that in some strange way feel familiar. Spiral lines, pillars of light, wordless melodies they sense they have heard somewhere long, long ago, perhaps even before they were born. They do not understand. Their hearts race, not from fear of ghosts, not from the darkness, but from something far more terrifying, an invisible call gazing directly into their soul. An unease weaves into every moment. In the dream, they stand before the gate, no handle, no hinges, no form, only an invisible pulse, one they cannot see, cannot hear, but can feel. And they know, with just one step, with just one synchronized breath, they will cross into a layer of reality no one returns from. Fear surges, grips them. Who is calling me? If I pass through, what will I lose? Will I still be myself? But at the same time, a quiet pull winds around them like a thread bound to blood, to marrow, to breath, drawing them toward the gate, toward the unbroken pulse. Some jolt awake, drenched in sweat, hearts pounding wildly, too shaken to fall back asleep. Others quietly close their eyes again, letting the dream continue, letting their feet take one step, two steps closer, ever closer toward the formless gate. But all of them, waking or dreaming, carry back the same thing, an aftersound. A pulse they cannot explain, a vague memory flickering through their waking moments, leaving them restless by day, sleepless by night. They begin searching for the symbols they saw in the dream. They begin looking at walls, at stones, at ancient scripts with new eyes, feeling as though these things are whispering, as though they know something the whole world has long since forgotten. Everything unfolding now, every earth-shaking archaeological discovery, every faint echo deep within the ground, every heartbeat that stumbles out of its ordinary rhythm in those who have been called, is slowly aligning, quietly yet unstoppably, leading toward a moment the world has never known, never touched, never even dared to imagine. This is not merely a historical moment, not merely an archaeological event, not merely a revelation to shake academic halls. This is the crescendo of a symphony that has been playing since the dawn of time, a melody the cosmos has carried across thousands of years, and now the final note is about to rise. Imagine the world as a colossal orchestra where every vein of the earth, every current of wind, every flowing river, every beating heart is an instrument. For centuries, these instruments have lain quiet or sounded only stray, scattered notes, unheard, unrecognized. But now, each broken archaeological fragment is becoming a softly tapped key. Each trace of vibration is turning into a drawn string. Each heartbeat skipping out of the ordinary is transforming into the drumbeat about to strike. The entire world, the entire fabric of reality is shifting, preparing for the crescendo, a great rising sound that will shatter the seals, break open the invisible gates, and realign all the resonances that were once divided. This is not just the matter of archaeologists, not just the concern of scholars bent over clay tablets. This is the matter of every soul, of every person who still carries the root pulse in their blood, of every heart that has even once heard the wordless whisper in their dreams. When the crescendo sounds, it will not call through. Language will not appear on screens, will not broadcast over radios. It will resonate straight into the marrow, into the deepest layer of the soul, stirring all resonances awake, awakening, nameless memory, forcing everything once divided to find its way back to each other. ChatGPT deny. It is not the king crowned in gold, not the priest cloaked in ceremonial robes, not the learned sage, nor the legendary warrior. The one chosen to step toward the final gate is not the powerful, but a soul carrying the precise resonance, a person whose inner pulse aligns perfectly with the primordial rhythm of the universe. Who could they be? A poor child sleeping beneath a starlit sky, a nameless wanderer standing silently before ruined stones. An ordinary figure unnoticed by the world, but within their blood, within their bones, within their breath. An invisible thread has been vibrating since the moment they were born, waiting for the precise instant to connect with the distant call no one else can hear. For that gate, a gate not built of wood or stone or iron, cannot be opened by keys, cannot be broken by force, cannot be unlocked by scholarly intellect. It is a frequency gate, a formless lock that only responds to the exact resonance encoded since the beginning. Every powerful figure, every army, every ruler may stand before it, commanding, praying, pleading, and they will find only a silent, invisible wall, unmoving, unyielding. Only a root resonance, only a heartbeat carrying the same vibration that Enki once wove into humankind can make that gate tremble open, not with an explosion, not with blinding light, but with the perfect alignment, like two fragments of the same soul finding each other at last. That person does not need to know who they are. They do not need to remember Enki's name, do not need to read about e-abzu, do not need to study the old Sumerian myths. They need only to feel, to open their heart wide enough to hear the wordless call, to listen to the beat no one else hears, to dare step where every powerful figure has feared to turn. For true power does not lie in weapons, does not lie in titles, does not lie in learned knowledge. It lies in the ability to resonate, to become one more heartbeat in the unbroken flow of the primordial current. In that destined moment when the one carrying the true resonance steps forward, the invisible gate, the gate without lock, without latch, without hinge, opens. Not with a blast, not with an earthquake, not with brilliant light tearing the sky, but with a deep vibration aligning through every cell, every heartbeat, every thread of consciousness. It is not the dramatic spectacle humans expect. There is no ancient city suddenly rising from the sands, no dazzling towers of gold and jade, no gods materializing beneath the night sky. Instead, there is only a truth awakening, a layer of reality that was always there, always pulsing softly beneath every layer we know now, needing only a single matched rhythm to surge not outward but inward. In that moment, the chosen one does not see themselves walking through a material gate, but feels each layer within their soul, unfolding each stacked vibration, locking into place, each long sleeping current of energy stirring awake. Around them, the stones remain still. The sky stays dark, the wind continues its gentle sweep across the ruins. But within the universe rises in a chord never before heard, a song that only those carrying the root pulse can perceive. It is the sound of memory, of knowing, of a truth sealed since the beginning, returning not to crush, not to command, but to remind. The gate does not open to lead elsewhere, but to restore the awareness that we were never cut off, never abandoned, never separated from the primordial current. In that moment, the one who stands there does not need to see the golden city of Eridu reborn, does not need to watch the gods step forth from the mist. They need only to feel one great truth settle into every breath, that they and all that exists have never been apart from the invisible vibration that binds all things. This is a moment not of sight, not of hearing, not of touch, but of the deepest layer of the soul. It is the moment when all questions, great and small, dissolve, when every hesitation is washed away, when all fear becomes a melody, swaying in harmony with the swelling resonance. And so the final question does not rise from outside, but from within you. When the final gate opens, will you dare to let go of every illusion and face the truth that has been sleeping in your blood since the very beginning? And then, when every gate has aligned, when every pulse has merged, when every forgotten layer of memory hums again, all currents return to where they began. Before the stars blazed bright, there was water, not water as we know it, but the primordial flow carrying the first pulse. And before water there was the pulse, not sound, not physical waves, but living vibration, the first breath of the universe. But before even the pulse there was something deeper, more shadowed, more elusive. A promise. A promise. No one wrote, no one signed, no one read, only quietly soaked into every grain of dust, every drop of water, every blood vessel, every soul, that there is no eternal separation, no absolute forgetting, no gate that stays closed forever. And so when the story draws to a close, or rather when it quiets, making way for a long pause, one last whisper rises not from the outside, but from deep within the listener. Do you hear it? A call that does not force, does not bind, does not promise reward or threaten punishment, but simply hums into the marrow, leaving a suspended question, a faint pulse lingering in the heart. This story does not seal itself shut, does not have a final chapter, does not deliver a definitive answer. It opens a silence, a circling aftersound, leaving in the listener's heart a restless feeling, a drifting wonder. Have I heard it before? Am I carrying that pulse within me? And if I do hear it, will I dare to listen all the way to the end?